Well, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. Got me my iced coffee today. Oh, the heat just keeps on going, doesn't it? But before you know it, it's going to be cold. We're going to have the fire in the wood stove. Yeah, it's going to be a whole nother thing. But right now, it's hard to imagine that ever happening. And isn't that... I was talking with a friend today, and we were talking about seasons and seasons of life. And she's in a very, very difficult season right now. And I, was relating in my own mind, some of the things that I've gone through that are similar to where she's at right now. And how it can feel like, even though it's a season, and seasons only last for a certain amount of time, and then they come to their fruition and the next season starts. But you can be in those seasons when it feels like, no way, is this ever going to come to an end? Oh my. But it does. And when they're hard seasons, we anticipate them coming to an end. But yet when they're like a good season where things are just really awesome, we don't want to see them come to an end. But yeah, everything does. Everything is just for a season. So today I just wanted to take a few minutes to get on here, and I had a moment where it's semi-quiet in the house. The air conditioner just kicked on, but dogs are all asleep. Guys are out working. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I thought, here's my opportunity. I just wanted to talk just for a moment about your ministry. Yep. Do you know that if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, if you have a personal relationship with Him and you're a child of God, you have a ministry. You absolutely do. And if you aren't a follower of Jesus yet, if you aren't in a personal relationship with Him yet, then you just don't have your ministry yet. I heard somebody saying something about that the other day, and I was like going, that's kind of cool, that none of us are going to stay in the state we're in. And even though there are some people that haven't really committed themselves to Christ, it's just a yet. And if you watch my videos and you haven't, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a yet. Because I don't know why else you would even have interest in watching these. It's not because I'm so great, that's for sure. So anyway, I wanted to just talk about that for a minute, because God's been dealing with me a little bit about that, as He has been using Marvin and I together to minister to people. And it keeps coming up being this most unexpected thing where opportunities just suddenly are there and put in our lap, and it's like, okay, here we go. And Marvin and I had talked a little bit about it, and we talked about it again this morning, about how we tend to have this traditional viewpoint of ministry. Oh, before that, what I was going to say is that there is no human being that comes into existence simply to take up space on the planet. Every single one of us was born on purpose for a purpose. And so I want to remind you of that if you are struggling with, do I have purpose, or what is my purpose? I can assure you, yes, you absolutely do have purpose. What that purpose is, go to the Lord. Ask Him. He'll tell you. He'll show you. And it's wonderful. And when we find, what our purpose in life is, and when we find what our unique identity as a child of God is, it's exciting. It's something that brings us joy. It's not a burden. In fact, it kind of makes a lot of things make sense, and can actually put peace into a situation that maybe didn't feel so peaceful before. So it's a good thing. So anyway, Marvin and I were talking about how, we tend to have this traditional idea of what ministry is, and that it is a person, on the platform at church, or someone who is serving on a committee or with a large group of people from the church, in some ministry, maybe it's feeding the hungry, or helping the homeless, or I don't know. There's so many things out there that we look at as being traditional ministry, and so we a lot of times will limit ourselves, thinking that we need to be involved in some way. And Marvin was just talking about how other people have decided what his ministry should be, and how they at times had tried to force him into a position, going, here's what you're supposed to do. He's like, yeah, it didn't work. And so he soon learned that somebody else is not going to know what your ministry is and put you there, because God doesn't, like I like to say, talk about us behind our back. If somebody comes to you and and says, here's what I believe you should be doing for the Lord, it will be a confirmation of what God's already been showing you. Okay, God talks to you about you, and yes, sometimes he does say things to other people about us in order to confirm, so we know that, oh, okay, I really was hearing God. All right, but yeah, it's not another person's position to put us where they think we need to be. And one of the dogs just woke up. So I apologize in advance if you hear some dogs in the background. It bothers me, but I'm sure everything will be just fine. Okay. So with Marvin and I, there's been some things like the Lord laid it on our hearts concerning a certain matter, and and we talked about it and we prayed about it, and we really felt that the Lord was asking us to do something. So we stepped out on faith and we did it, and since it resulted in us ministering to some people and being able to pray for them, and and it was just a one-on-one thing. It required us going to someone's home. And I will say that was an education experience, because they live at the end of a road when the road doesn't go any further. It stops where their home is, okay? And so to get there, there's only one way in, only one way out. And without going into details, because it really doesn't matter, but I will tell you, Marvin and I literally had to drive through the valley of the shadow of death. And this is when I said, I know God's working in me, because if this had been a couple of years earlier, I would have been terrified. Instead, I was a little bit in shock of what was going on, and that how am I in the middle of this? But I wasn't afraid, and I might have shared some of this before, because one of the things that really impressed me on this was my husband, who can be a very, very quiet, gentle man. He suddenly rose up with great authority and took control of the situation that was beginning to, I don't even know the word, anyway, to put itself into our space. I don't know how else to explain it. And, Marvin just was like, he took over that, and I'm looking at him like, wow, that was powerful. And, and we went through safely. In fact, God parted the waters in many ways for us through this darkness. And we got to our destination, and we all ended up laughing, because I'm like, you have to go through this all the time. They're like, yeah. I was like, oh, that was something else. And I'd been to their home before on several occasions, but this particular day there was an element of darkness to it that I had not seen there before. And I almost felt in some ways that Marvin and I had come face to face with something very demonic. And that's where Marvin took that authority. And it was very dark. but Marvin just took authority over it, and we went on through. And so when we got ready to leave, I had asked the Lord to give us a personal escort. You gave us a personal escort in, now give us a personal escort out. Send a few extra angels and part the way, and there was no trouble going out. The Lord was with us, and I ended up really laughing a lot about it because God is so amazing, and and you can look back at a few videos ago when I said it has to come through the door, because Jesus told me He's the door. Anything that wants to come at me doesn't mean that things don't come at me, but it has to go through Him and through His permission, and He is still watching over me, and He only allows things in order to do a work in me. So I'm learning to rest in that more and more and not let fear overtake me. So that was pretty awesome. But it was the greatest part of it was that by stepping out in faith and being obedient to God, we were given an unexpected opportunity to minister. And it, like I say, it put gas in my, put God gas in my God tank. It was wonderful. And then, God has, in the last few days, He has brought a couple of situations, into our home where Marvin and I, not knowing it was coming, got to minister to some people and pray for them, and it was wonderful. And there's been a few other things that God's given me an opportunity, and it's just, they're little things in the big picture. It's not happening from the platform of a church. It's not happening from an organized ministry, but it's just being available for God to use us with the way He made us in order to have an impact for Him, okay, on somebody else's life. And I love that, I love that God uses us the way He made us to be in order to make an impact on someone else's life for Him. So it's been pretty wonderful, and and I've been talking to the Lord about it, and like I said, Marvin and I've talked about it, and I just want you to know, you don't have to be doing something that in the world's eyes is big. Your ministry today could simply be smiling, giving a smile to people at the grocery store who look like they're about to collapse under the weight of life, to make somebody laugh in the midst of a heavy heart, to help somebody put their groceries in the car that is having a struggle. There are so many things that we can view as just such a small thing, but it's when we do it with the love of Jesus and putting that other person ahead of ourselves, we are ministering for the Lord. And what may seem like a small, insignificant thing to you or to me can mean the world to someone else. You just don't know the impact you may be having on someone's life. And that's something my grandson was saying. He works at a grocery store, and sometimes people aren't very nice. And he was saying the other day how sometimes he's going through something, and it's hard for him to pull himself together to have a good attitude and be kind, and and he has to remind himself that that he needs to be kind and caring about people there when he's working. And when people are mean to him, because he had some people be kind of nasty to him, and I think he said that one even then apologized, said, "I'm just not having a good day." And he said it just helps him to remember that you don't know what somebody else is going through. And I'm like, that's so true, because everybody's going through something. And so if we can remember that, I had just had to take my grandson to work, and as we were going, Marvin was on the speakerphone, and he was talking to me about some stuff, and I'm like, oh, hold on a minute here. Here comes a car that was coming towards us, and it moves over into our lane, coming straight at us. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and traffic was bad. It was pretty congested. There really wasn't any place for me to go. I had cars on both sides of me, behind me, and now somebody coming straight at me. And but I never panicked. I just was like, okay, Lord, you take control of this. And then the car went back to the center turn lane and got over there. But when I got up, where I could, when we got close enough that I could see it, it was an elderly man who looked very confused and very frustrated. And, and the Lord protected all of us, because it could have been a bad situation. But, I don't know what that person that's coming straight at me is going through. I don't know that if they're confused or whatever. And I felt good that at least I cried out for God to take control of the situation, and he did. But there's times in my life when maybe that wouldn't be my reaction, and you want to yell at somebody and you want to honk at them and throw hands at them and and get really emotional about it, and it doesn't really help anybody. And the thing is, you don't know what just happened with that person or what they were going through. So not that it makes it okay, but we've got to show a little grace to each other, because we all need it at some point. So anyway, I just wanted to encourage you today that even those little things in life make a big difference. And keep yourself open and flexible, ready to do whatever it is that God calls you to do. See, we've had plans. We had plans the other day, some work we were going to get done around here. And actually, the Lord did help us to get it done the next day. But that particular day, it didn't happen because somebody showed up here and there was something else going on, and we needed to put them and that opportunity ahead of what our plans were. And I have no regrets that we did that. At first I thought it was just going to be a thing for Marvin, but it turned out that there was more involved, and there was a whole nother person involved, and I had a part to play in it too. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful and awesome and great. And I love being able to do things for God, and I want my life to count for him. So for me, it was a great joy. But yeah, that flexibility of going, okay, we may have had plans to do this, but now it looks like we need to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and encourage you in case you're one of the ones, because I've been talking to a lot of people lately, and I've been one of them not too long ago, that's just kind of like, what, am I doing anything to make a difference? What's my purpose? Should I, I've been part of those big ministries. I've been on that platform. I'm not now. And the people around me don't even know, most of them don't even know what my past is in ministry, probably because they really don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't know, but they don't know. And I've gotten old, and the older you get, you start finding people aren't so interested in having, they want the young generation. That's more appealing and all. So yeah, you can kind of go through these identity crisis where you're trying to be like, figure it out, because it's like, okay, it used to be one way, and now I just don't even know. But God's been working in my life, showing me the purpose I still have, the powerful ministry of prayer. Because if you ask me to pray for you, and I say, I will pray for you, I really will. I really do. And for a minimum of 40 days, I don't want to ask somebody for prayer and then them say they're going to pray for me and they never give it another thought. If I ask you for prayer, it's because I need it. And there is a joy when you know that somebody really took that serious and they are lifting you before the throne of God every day. So I want to do that too. And I've, had this ministry of prayer really for a lot of years, and it just gets sweeter all the time. So I pray for all my neighbors. So Pam, if you're watching this video, I pray for you guys every single day. I really do. And I pray for my family members. So Allison, If you're watching this, and Angie prays for you every single day. Josh, if you're watching this, Grandma prays for you every day, but you know that. So, you know, even if they're not my family anymore, because they got divorced out or whatever, they're still my family. They still matter to me. So we won't throw those names out there. But there are some. I have 4 former sister-in-laws, I think. I still pray for them every day. That hasn't changed for me. I have, former son-in-laws, former daughter-in-laws, but they're not former to me. They're still sons and daughters to me in my heart. I pray for you every day. So that is definitely a true ministry. And I saw a scripture the other day that just really hit me about prayer, and I'm hoping to get on here pretty soon and share that with you too, because prayer makes a difference. It really does. It is a great thing that God has given us the ability to pray and talk to him, because it is powerful. So anyway, I'm going to say that. This has gone too long, like usual. It's because I haven't got to talk to you in so long. And thank you for those of you that are so understanding that I'm a real person and I have a real life. And sometimes life gets to a point where you can't always do some of these other things. So, I don't look at this like this is my job or anything else. I just look for the opportunities the Lord gives me to come and share with you. And there's just been so much going on lately. I mean, I'm lucky that I lay my head down at night and sleep, because it's hard to find the time. But that's okay. All right, I gotta go finish my iced coffee because it's pretty stinking good. I love you guys. I'm going to talk to you again real soon. All right, you take care.